So a question that I get asked a lot is, when is my child too old for me to read to them? Now that my child can read independently, should I keep reading out loud to them, or is that a time when it's time to stop? And today I wanted to take a minute to share my thoughts about this question. And I think what it comes down to is that no matter how old your child is, they're never too old for you to read to them. And this is something that you should continue with your child as long as possible. There are a few reasons why I think it's really important to read to an older child. And the first one is that just like you could when they were younger, even though your child is older and can read on their own, you can still read books with them that are more complex than ones that they could read on their own. So when you choose a read aloud, you want to choose something that's a little bit more difficult than something that your child would be able to read on their own. It might be something that has a more complex storyline or a more challenging plot than what they would be reading. Maybe it's something that has some really sophisticated character development, or maybe it's something that's more sophisticated in its themes and topics than something that you'd feel comfortable giving your child to read on their own. Either way, this is a great opportunity to expose your child to really great works of literature and quality books that they don't quite have access to yet, and to really stretch their ability to understand something like a more complex character or a more in-depth plot by reading it together as a family. So that's one of the first reasons. You can really help your child to grow and develop as a reader as you expose them to these more complicated books when you read them out loud to your child. A second reason why it's really important to read out loud to your child, even when they can read by themselves, is because reading out loud is a great way to expose your child to a bigger vocabulary. Often books have lots of vocabulary words that your kids might not hear in regular conversation during their day. And so reading out loud is a great way to introduce them to some of those new words. When you reach a word that you think your child might be unfamiliar with, you can take some time to stop and talk with your child about what that word means. And I have a whole nother video about how to use reading out loud to help your child improve their vocabulary. And I'll put a link to that video so that you can see that one as well. But reading out loud is a great way to improve vocabulary, even if your child can read on their own. A final reason why it's really important to read out loud to your older child is that just like younger children really benefit from the family bonding time that happens when you're reading out loud, older children can really appreciate and benefit from this as well. I've actually heard stories of kids that have struggled to learn how to read on their own, partly because they're afraid that once they become an independent reader, they'll lose that bonding time that happens when you are reading to them. And so if you can reassure your child, even as they're learning how to read, that family reading time and that those fun moments that you share together around books are something that will still continue once your child is an independent reader, that will help them to be able to have confidence in developing those reading skills. Kids will really enjoy reading time together because it's a great time to get one-on-one time from a parent. And that kind of one-on-one time and family bonding is very valuable to kids, no matter what age they are. So hopefully this has been an encouragement to you that your child is not too old to be read to. And I'd like to challenge you to go find a book that you think your child would enjoy, or maybe allow your child to help you pick out something and get started reading something together as a family. For older kids, they might really enjoy a longer book where you can read a chapter at a time together and work through it as a family over a series of weeks or months. So there's the 3 reasons to read out loud to an older child. First of all, exposing them to more complex plot and storyline and characters. Also helping them to be able to build their vocabulary as you talk about the new words that you come across in the story. And then finally, just that opportunity to have that family bonding time. So please feel free to share in the comments what it is that you like to read with your older child.